official The Life of a Showgirl review. Now you may be asking yourself, what credentials does this random girl on the internet have for telling me what she thinks or giving her opinions? Number one, I have a signed copy of Debut by Taylor Swift. I've been a fan literally since the beginning. Here is a photo of me at the 1989 concert with my sister on Halloween. I'm dressed as a fox and my sister's dressed as a hunter. If you know, you know, and if you don't, I don't know why you clicked on this video, but thank you. Me and my best friend used to have a Taylor Swift podcast called Fate of the Day for 1.5 years before I got pregnant. And here's a picture of me on the Eras tour. So I've been a fan for a very, very long time. I am a stan and a fan of Taylor. Literally, I love her so much. So those are my credentials. Today we are going to deep dive on each song and we are going to rank them and review them. I have my notes here on my phone. So we are going to be grading each song on 5 different categories, okay? I helped ChatGPT helped me come up with the categories because I was like, I want like lyricism and I want themes and I want like funny and wittiness and relatability and da-da-da. Like I put all of these things. So here are the categories that we're going to break it down into. The first one is musicality and sound. So what this looks like, the questions that we're answering. It says catchiness and replay value. Do you want to hit repeat? Production quality. Is the mix layered, clean, and polished? Instrumental arrangement. How well do the instruments, synth, strings work together? Melody strength. Is the tune memorable or forgettable? Vocal performance. How strong, raw, or controlled is her voice? Originality. Does this sound fresh compared to her past work or other artists? And genre execution. How well does it embody a genre it's leading into? That's the first one. So musicality and sound. The next category that we're grading on is lyrics and writing. What this looks like is lyricism and poetic qualities. Are the words sharp, clever, beautiful, etc. Narrative strength. Does the song tell a story start to finish? Imagery and metaphors. How vivid are the visuals in her writing? Relatability. Do the lyrics connect to everyday feelings and experiences? Quotable lines. How many lyrics could be iconic, captions, tattoos, etc. Emotional impact. Does it make you cry, smile, ache, etc. So that is the second thing. The third category we're looking at is theme and depth. Now this goes kind of hand in hand with lyrics, but it's a tiny bit different. So this looks like exposing and vulnerability. How personal and revealing does it feel? Who is it about factor? The intrigue level of who it could be referencing. Is it universal? Could anyone connect or is it niche and very specific? And the longevity. Will the theme hold up in 5 to 10 years? And just in general, looking at what the actual theme, what I think the theme of the song is. 4, context and culture, eras placement. So like where do we think this belongs compared to her other eras? Or is it just like new ground? Is it part of rep, red, or is it just new ground in general? The cultural impact potential. I love this. So is it memeable? Is it TikTok bait? Could it be an anthem? And theory fuel. How much Swifties will spiral over the hidden meanings in this song? Celebrity/relationship gossip tie-in. Will this be dissected on Dumois? And the concert potential. Slay in the stadium. ChatGPT wrote that, but I love it. Will it slay in the stadium or will it feel flat? Like what do I actually think? And the 5th thing that we are going to deep dive on and look at and critique this on is the technicality and the artistry. Now, here's what this means, at least, again, ChatGPT. The song structure. Does it have a strong bridge, a good pacing? Does it feel too long? The cohesion with the album. Does it feel like it fits in or does it feel like an outlier? Is it innovative? Does she experiment with her sound or the form of it? Is it a replay factor or is it a skip factor? Do you want to keep replaying it in your playlist? Is it a staple or is it a skip? Production Easter eggs, little sounds, callbacks, vocal layers, anything that really stands out. Classics, Taylor Swift factor, the classic Swift factor. Does it, quote, feel like Taylor in her, like, very trademark way? I think, to me, that kind of is more songwriting and lyrics than maybe, like the melody. And the overall wow factor. That is basically like an intangible, this song has something special factor about it. Those are all of the things that we are reviewing and rating and critiquing. In this rating and review, I want to remind you, it's going to be 1 through 5, okay? So let's actually think about that. In 1 through 5, a scale 1 to 5, what is the middle? 2.5. That's right. It's a 2.5. 2.5, even though it sounds not good, it is actually the middle of the road. So here are, just like to get you in the vibe of like what I think, a 1 to 5 and 2.5 and 3, like let me give you some of my like rankings. For example, if All Too Well, 10-minute version, Taylor's version, From the Vault is a 5, My Tears Ricochet is a 5, Bejeweled, We Are Never Getting Back Together are fun, but those to me are 2.5 and or maybe 3s. Me and Electric Touch, respectfully of course, are both 1.5 to me. Again, this is my opinion. Delicate, New Year's Day, The Black Dog are all 4.5. So that is the kind of person that you're dealing with in this video. If you like vehemently, is that how you say that? Disagree, I would love to know in the comments, like genuinely. I would love to talk about it. I would love to potentially fight you on it. Like I love just like talking about this kind of stuff, because ultimately, it's really not that deep. Like ultimately it is just art, and the beauty of art is that you can have your own opinion and you don't have to agree with anything else that anyone says. I have my orange on for the Life of a Showgirl because obviously the color theme of the album is orange, and maybe like a nice like teal color, which is kind of fun. Okay, so my general first thoughts. I absolutely adored, loved, still love the marketing leading up to this. I think it is iconic. I think it is show-stopping, pun intended, kind of. I literally think it's amazing. I'm so excited for the continued like imagery that we're going to see from this era. I feel like I have like kind of a hot take stepping into a new era, and maybe other people feel like this. I thought it was kind of a hot take, and then I looked on the internet just a little bit and I'm like, oh, other people feel the same way. Okay, cool. So I know I'm not completely alone, but I know it might be a hot take, is that it takes me usually a little bit to step into a new era. I feel like I get used to, you know, in the past, it would be Midnight's Tortured Poets, and stepping into this, the Life of a Showgirl album, and just a new era in general is always difficult because all of the eras are so vastly different, from what she wears on interviews, like on late night shows, to the lyrics that she has, to the features in her songs, to just her lyrics and the type of imagery and photos and, you know, photo shoots that we see from her from one era going into the other. It is like whiplash. It really is. It's not even going 1 to 60. It's like going 1 to 300. Like it is so different usually every single time stepping into a new era. Like going from Lover to Folklore, or going from Red to 1989. Like it still is so jarring all these years later, which I think is so powerful that she is able to reinvent herself every single time. And she has a lot of songs about that. So, but that being said, when I first listened, literally at this point, it's yesterday, I was like, okay, this is not what I thought, because also I feel like us as an audience were low-key a little bamboozled when it came to the imagery of this, like leading up to the drop of the album and what the album actually is. I'm not gonna lie to you, I think that it doesn't match. Like that's probably maybe my hot take, and you may disagree with me, but like I don't think that the imagery and even the name, The Life of a Showgirl, matches what's on the album. And I know a lot of people are like, that's the point, like she wants you to see like what's behind The Life of a Showgirl. I don't even think it does that. Like I literally don't even think it does that. I will get into that later, but genuinely, I don't think that this album imagery and the album title matches what's on the album. That doesn't mean it's bad or wrong. That just means that if I were her, I would have done something different. But I'm not her, I'm not a billionaire, etc. All of the caveats that I could give. But that's just my opinion. To me, this album shows us that she has finally embraced the two different sides of her, and that she has the Taylor Swift that her family knows and loves, and you know, just knows like the deepest parts of her. And I also think that this album is a realization and kind of like a big frick you almost to the industry and what people think and believe the Taylor Swift brand is. So I think this is finally her like ripping this apart and being okay with that Taylor Swift that the people around her know and love, and the Taylor Swift that we honestly as the audience have like a parasocial relationship with. So I think she's finally come to terms with that, and this album is that. So her being a showgirl, I understand, I do. And she has even explained that this album is, she wants it to be the look behind the life. And I think sonically, that means sound-wise, I think sonically, I thought it would be more like I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, boppy. I think there are a lot of bops, don't get me wrong, but I just thought it would be more that way sonically, but it wasn't. And so I had to like kind of change what I thought it would be. That doesn't mean it was wrong. That just means I had one thought and now I need to have another thought. Those are all of just my general overall view and thoughts. We're gonna go through all the songs. After we grade all of the songs, we are going to rank them and put them in like order value, if you will. And then I will give my favorites, because the order and number value that like I give to them is not a reflection of my like personal favorites. So just note to that. I'm trying to be like very unbiased, like very all the things. And we're just gonna go song by song, and go ahead and throw on the song if you want. I'm going to assume that you have listened to the songs. So, okay, let us get started. The first track is The Fate of Ophelia. And if you don't know, Ophelia is from Shakespeare. Long story short, I think that this first track is basically like a baby love letter to Travis Kelce. Call me crazy. But okay, the first thing we're gonna grade on, remember, is musicality and sound. So I was not, when I first started the album, I was very sonically surprised, if you will, at where this album was going to go. And then after I finished the album, I was like, oh, okay, this like fits in more than I thought it would. But it took me just a second to like get into it. I wasn't lyrically surprised she started the album with this, but I was very surprised like when I heard it, if that makes sense. I was like, wait, what? This is not what I expected. And then I heard what she was saying, singing the lyrics, and I was like, oh, okay. So again, 1 to 5, remember, this is what we're grading on. I gave it a 3.75. I don't think production wise there's going to be a lot of songs that I don't think are crisp and clean and cut, because Shellback and Max Martin produced it. So it's going to be, production wise, they're just like the godfathers. Not really, but kind of. And so I think this song did a really good job like encapsulating the sound of the album. So that is my 3.5. I also gave lyrics and writings, the next thing we're grading on. I also gave this a 3.5. Wait, I gave musicality and sound 3.75 because I thought it was also like very fresh and new. For lyrics and writing, I gave it a 3.5, and here's why. I think the lyrics make a lot of sense. Obviously, this is not the most like lyrically strong she's ever been in her whole entire life, obviously. I think this song probably means more to people who like kind of know her dating lore a little bit, about how she felt trapped and was drowning and all of these things, and then she got saved, and you know, she was no longer metaphorically dying. To me, there are so many visuals in this song, and if you watch the music video, which I went to the movie, so I got to just a little bit early, I think it does such a great job kind of like pairing the lyrics with the video. But anyways, I think it's very like vivid and visual, as she always does when she writes. I think she does a good job telling us with her lyrics what we as her fans kind of know to be true about her love life. So I gave lyrics a 3.5. Again, remember, middle of the road, a good, fun, just good song is a 2.5. Remember that. For theme and depth, okay, again, these are all my notes, so I want to try and be like as streamlined as possible. For theme and depth, I think this song is kind of like a layered commentary about her own love life, like I've said, and how she was headed kind of in one direction with one romantic partner. And then when that ended, she knew that she needed to save herself, and then inadvertently was also saved by this new relationship, this new love, this new partner, who she is now very committed to. Like I've said before, I think that this song is really about her relationship with Joe not being exactly what she thought it was. Yes, it was like a different version of her, but it just didn't end up the way she thought. And then when it ended, she felt like she was drowning, which was the fate of Ophelia, by the way. She drowned. The theme is like her committing suicide. I think the theme of this is her being saved. And so I think originality, theme, depth, like I think this is a 3.7. I think this is like a classic Taylor Swift using Shakespearean, a character, and making like changing their fate, you know? And so I think that she did a really good job like with this theme and the depth of it, because I think it has so many layers. As far as lyrics go, I think these lyrics hold up. Okay, as far as context and culture for the Fate of Ophelia, I think this will do really well on TikTok. I think it's really catchy, and especially with it being the first song, a lot of people just listen to the song first, and so I think they will just naturally gravitate toward this song. I think a lot of people will have a lot of fun with like the references, obviously with Ophelia, but like being locked in my tower, Rapunzel. Like I think that people will have a lot of fun with these. I think the visuals of this song at a concert would be fun because like the music video is really fun, so I think it would mimic that, but I don't think it would be like the most crazy intense thing to watch, like Don't Blame Me, or you know, like Who's Afraid of Little Me or something like that. If I were to put this in an era, I specifically would put this in a 1989 vault track, no questions asked, or perhaps it would be on Speak Now, no questions asked. As far as technicality, artistry, all of that, oh, for context and culture, I gave it a 2.5. Just normal, regular. I don't think it's super crazy. I know you may be saying, oh, like context-wise, it references Rapunzel and Shakespeare, Ophelia, da da da. Like, I gave more of the points, the lyrics, than the context and culture. So, I don't know, fight me. 2.5 is great. It's good. It's normal. As far as technicality and artistry, I think I'm not alone in this. I think that the song is literally just a hair too long, except when you watch the music video, it's like perfect length, but I think it's just a hair too long. I think it's like 45 seconds too long. That's just me. For me, I don't think she really experiments with sound that much. I think it's a skip at all. Like I love it. I have not skipped it yet. I don't think it'll be my #1 replayed song. I do like it, and I feel like it is like the perfect like mix of Taylor doing her classic like literature, character, pop culture twist, romantic, I don't know, intertwining of lyrics and things. So I feel like this song feels very Taylor Swift. Track 2, we are on Elizabeth Taylor. The first thing is musicality and sound. I really like this song, especially after a re-listen or two. Really like the production quality. I think it's layered. I think it sounds really good. It's really memorable. I love the bass in the back. I think it feels really fresh, and I definitely think it could be on Reputation for sure. Yeah, I didn't necessarily clock this as very like Showgirl, but I still liked it and I still want to re-listen. I gave it a 3.5. Lyrics and writing, this is not what I thought would be Elizabeth Taylor. I thought she could go in a lot of different directions, but I like the direction she went in. Like the Fate of Ophelia, I think this song really paints a beautiful picture. I think it does a really good job of it. And though for me, these aren't necessarily the most relatable lyrics, I think we can still feel like what it's like to be her, if that makes sense. Like, I will probably never own Cartier, and I will never have Hollywood hate me. I do know what it's like to have and love someone so deeply that if they left you, you would be devastated. It may sound stupid, but I think it does I think there could be literally so many lyrics in the song that could be Instagram captions. Like, I think this song is very captionable. I don't know. They say I'm bad news, I just say thanks. Hit the best booth at Musso and Frank's. I love it. Did #1, but I'll never have 2. I think there's a lot of like fun play on words in this as well, so I love it. Again, I gave lyrics and writing a 3. For theme and depth, I think like the underlying theme of this song is very relatable, but I don't think the lyrics are, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know. Don't necessarily think that this song is for us to be like to relate to it lyric by lyric. They're like the concept of being hated by everyone but loved by one person, and if that one person leaves, you would just weep and be depressed. I don't think it's her deepest song, but I do think that it's intriguing and personal enough for her, like in her own life, where I'm like, it kind of draws me in with like the little tiny details about her life, like Portofino and, you know, Musso and Frank's, like, and other things like that. For context and culture, I gave this a 4.25. I know that's really high. It's our highest score yet. I do think that this song could be on Reputation with like the kind of like bass that it gives us. Like, I truly did not expect that. I think TikTok will definitely grab onto the lyric, "You're only as hot as your last hit, baby." I feel like there's a lot of potential there. They may not, but just saying, just calling it now. I think there's a lot of context and culture in the song in general and specifically that do more. I think there's a lot of culture and context in this song, like specifically for Taylor. For instance, her talking about Portofino and the hotel she's staying in and eating at Musso and Frank's in Hollywood, asking the person in the song to be here in New York because California hates her. Like, why do they hate her? Referencing Cartier and white diamonds, of course. Also Elizabeth Taylor. I feel like this song is kind of like very heavy on the cultural references and also very hyper-specific moments of her life that give us as the audience and her fans like a glimpse into like specific parts and events in her life. But I also think she leaves a lot to the imagination where she doesn't color in the whole picture, that we still have like pieces that we need to like put together to really like paint the whole picture, because she only gives us like little glimpses, if that kind of makes sense. Maybe not like on a I did something bad level, but I feel like this would be kind of fun to see in concert. So that's just me. And technicality and artistry, I feel like the pacing of this song, I like it. I think the length of the song is good. I like the bridge, but I don't think it's like too powerful as much as her other songs. I don't think it's a skip, and I definitely will be replaying it, and I have. I feel like it's a new sassy Taylor, and I think it's a pretty good song overall, so I gave it a 3. Track number 3 is Opalite. I love Opalite. It is literally in my top 3, at least right now. I think it's such a happy song. It's so fun. I've seen a lot of discourse online already about it. They're like, this is the downfall of her lyrics. And I'm like, to me, if you don't like Opalite, you don't know fun. Like, you're not a fun person if you don't like Opalite. That's just me. Whatever. Say what you say. Okay, but let's talk. Like, let's talk critically. I will try. Okay, musicality and sound. I gave it overall a 2.75. I think the production quality is good. I think it's clean. I think it's sharp. There's really, again, no notes on that. Oh my gosh, Toph, you scared me. Hi, puppy. I personally think it's really, really catchy, and it's just like a happy song in general. I think it should be on Lover, honestly. It didn't really give me like the Life of a Showgirl vibes, booming with the bass or anything like that, but like it just sounds like a Taylor Swift song, and I like it. Okay. But I give it a 2.75. For lyrics and writing, okay, some standout lyrics. Eating out of the trash. So funny and iconic, like so funny. I think a lot of people can do a lot of things with that. When you don't, when you know, and when you don't, you don't. So freaking true, genuinely. Life is a song, it ends when it ends. Like, I think these are very like catchy, captiony lyrics that are like very like punchy. Dancing with the lightning strikes, sleepless, the onyx night. Like, these lyrics really remind me of the Torture Poets Department, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like specifically the Fortnite music video, like the imagery of it. I think like the rain and the darkness and the imagery of that, like think of that music video and that kind of like moment and that album, and then it brings us to this like glassy blue pink iridescent like moment. Like, to me, the juxtaposition between those things is really painted like in that line of, this is what I was going through in this time in my life, and now it's different and now it's better. Also made me think of her transition from like Reputation to Lover as well. And I personally love the fact that it's like super layered. That Opalite is man-made, and also the fact that Opalite is Travis Kelce's birthstone, or Opal is Travis Kelce's birthstone. I think it just like makes the depth of the lyrics just like a little like just further, you know, like it's kind of like a if you know, you know type thing. Pun intended, I suppose. For the theme and depth, I think the song is personal enough. Probably not as much as Elizabeth Taylor, honestly. I think it's obviously about Travis Kelce. So I don't think people are that intrigued about like who it's about or anything. But it feels personal enough because it has a quote from her brother, has a quote from her mom. Don't think the theme of this song is like that deep or complex, but I think the way she uses the lyrics make it deep and complex, which is why I have lyrics and writing at a 4 and I have theme and depth at a 2.5. Call me crazy, but that's just what I think. As far as context and culture, I think this feels like it's supposed to be in the Lover era, like I've said. I think she's gone on a couple radio shows and been very clear about what this is about. So I don't think like Swifties will really have like any fan theories or like really anything to like deep dive into, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. I think that the visuals in the concert would be really fun to see this song. I think it has a lot of potential there. I think if this does catch on TikTok, that it'll be people like dancing around being like, I'm having fun and you're not, like type vibe. That is what I think. So I gave, again, culture and context, I gave it a 2.5. Technical and artistic, I honestly don't really feel like this is like super cohesive with the album, respectfully. I think it's a little too happy and not like sassy enough and like bitey enough, or like after listening to the whole album. I obviously love it. Personally, I don't think this sounds very like sonically innovative, but it'll definitely be on replay, and it does sound like me, stay, stay, stay. Like it sounds like all of these like fun, boppy like songs. I'm going to bop my head to this song, and it will be on my playlist. So I gave technicality and artistry, or artistic, technical and artistic, I gave it a 2. Let's talk about track number 4, which is Father Figure. I feel like a lot of people love this song a lot, so let's dive into it. Musicality and sound. Okay, so this song was not what I expected. I don't think it's what a lot of people expected, just like musically. I think it does have a fresh quality to it for sure, but it doesn't sound like Taylor, which I don't know if is like a good or bad thing. For me, I don't think these lyrics match up with the music of it. Like I don't think the melody matches the lyrics. I wanted more of a Midnight's Vigilante, like I think that if you were going to have those lyrics, it needed that like grittiness that Vigilante has. Ultimately, the lyrics just don't match the melody, so sorry about it. It has grown on me. I like it, but I just don't think it does. So therefore, I give it a 2. Again, remember, 2.5 is good. For lyrics and writing, I gave it a 3.25, and here's why. For what she's writing about, I do think that the lyrics are very sharp. I think it tells a story about being in the industry and taking someone underneath your wing. I don't think the lyrics are necessarily like relatable for normal people, but I do think she paints a really good picture and a really good storyline about what's happening. And in the movie, she talked about how she relates with both characters. So I definitely see the push and pull of both characters in this like song, which I really think is great. I personally could go without the "my is bigger" line, and I actually prefer the edited, like, you know, clean version better, honestly. It says "my check is bigger," so I personally, again, prefer that. And honestly, I firmly believe that this is and could be Kris Jenner's like anthem. I really do believe that. And lyrics and writing, I gave a 3.25. I really enjoyed the lyrics of this and like the storytelling. Theme and depth, I gave it a 2.5. I think that this song is actually probably a lot more personal than we think it is. I think it probably was really easy for her to write and just like come up with the theme and the concept of it, because it is something that she has experienced, again, like she has said, on both sides. Again, I don't think it's super relatable. I do think, surprisingly, it is on track to be on The Life of a Showgirl, because it shows how the life of a showgirl actually is. Like what it actually means to be in the industry. I think this song is very ultimately like revealing about how she feels about being in the industry and being around the industry, but it's not like too personal, if that makes sense. But the theme, like I understand her viewpoint in the theme in general. So 0.5, solid. For context and culture, I personally gave it a 3.75. I know. I definitely think this could have been on Midnight's, but I think it definitely belongs on this album in particular. I think even right now people are speculating like who this song is about and who it like they could be referencing, who Taylor could be referencing. I even think right now people are probably speculating like who this song could potentially be about, with someone else being Taylor's father figure and Taylor being someone else's father figure. Like I think there's a lot of like depth and lore that people could like dig into if they wanted. I feel like this would be incredible performed live. I think it would be kind of like the Who's Afraid of Little Me, like Tortured Poets part of the Eras tour, like Tortured Poets mixed with rep. Like I just think it'd be really like gritty and powerful, you know. For technicality and artistry, I gave it a 3.3. I know that's like weird and specific, but I do think sonically that this song feels more experimental, which I like. And I think that this song actually has like grown on me already, and I've only listened to it like a handful of times. I don't think it hits me like a pop anthem. And again, I don't think ultimately the lyrics match the music. I just thought that the music needed to be like very guttural and like bitey, kind of like the lyrics, and it just wasn't, and so I was confused. Just wanted more from it. I think it will be on my playlist eventually, and I will like it the more and more I listen to it. I think I'll just get used to it not matching in my brain, and I think it sounds like new Taylor. So for this reason, like I said, I gave it a 3.3. Now let's talk about Eldest Daughter. Eldest Daughter is my favorite on the album so far. I love it. I think it's track number 5, where if you know what that means, it just is like Taylor's, it's like her track number 5s are like her secret message to us, honestly. Like it's kind of like the heart of the album, if you will. This is a piano song, so it's like mostly acoustic-y vibes. For musicality and sound, I gave it a 2.5. For me, I wanted to hit replay immediately. I really liked it. I thought the song was so sweet. I think the arrangement is raw and honest. I don't think it's the catchiest song musically on the album, but I don't think it's meant to be, and that's okay. I think it's really interesting that on her albums, like even like the poppy fun like bass booming stuff, like there is always a moment where she like brings it back and makes it there's like always like a piano ballad of like some kind. And I just think, you know, A Reputation, it's New Year's Day, I think on 1989, is there one on 1989? I'm sure there is, I just can't remember right now, but like it just, I don't know, the lyrics of You're in Love, I don't know, whatever. I digress. But like to me, this feels like, oh, on Midnight, there's Sweet Nothing. Like to me, this is the New Year's Day and Sweet Nothing of the life of a showgirl, if that makes sense. Knowing that about her work, like in the past, I think that this is perfect for the life of a showgirl. Like I think this fits in perfect. So I gave it a 2.5, just like middle of the road, good. Lyrics and writing, I gave it 3. I really enjoyed this song lyrically, which it's probably why it's in my top, like, you know, of the whole album. It's not only beautifully written, but I also think it's like a little satirical as well. I think a lot of people aren't getting it, like online. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, like she's so millennial and cringy. Yes, like she is a millennial, she's going to be more cringy. Discourse online about like the line, I'm not a bad chick and this isn't savage. To me, this line is very satirical, and it's like making fun of culture and the expectation of society. Like she even says in the song, like, I've been trying my hardest to be cool, and so it like is obviously like satirical, but some people are thinking she's like being totally serious about it. But also, if you think about it, like the eldest daughter is cringy. Like they are cringy, they're not up with the times, like they're older, like they're the eldest daughter. Like their younger siblings have to keep them down to earth and like cool, you know, speaking as a younger sibling, obviously. I think that this song has a like poetic quality of explaining how she gained her youth and innocence back, that society and culture and even like some fans have taken from her throughout the years. I think that this necessarily tells a story like a love story, but it definitely has a narrative and it paints a picture that I understand, even though I personally can't relate with innocence being stolen via music industry. But I do think that it's a very sweet song that people can relate to and connect to, whether you have found that kind of love or not. The kind of writing that like makes me think of Speak Now and Fearless, with the maturity and the knowledge of like life that comes from like the Midnights era Taylor. I feel like on an emotional day, the lyrics could in fact make me cry. So I love it. I gave it a solid 3. For theme and depth, I actually gave this a 4, and here's why. I think the song is very, very personal and revealing about her life throughout the years. I think there's things that she's admitting that she's lied about, and things that she has changed her mind on. So I think this song is very intriguing and very complex. And when we like very clearly know who and what it's written about, I think the longevity of this song as a whole really holds up, and it's very similar to You're on Your Own, Kid. Text and culture, I gave this a 3. I think this song has maturity of Midnights, like I said, in Tortured Poets, but it sounds like it could be on Speak Now, which I love. So because of those things, I think that it is a perfect song for this era. I don't think Swifties will like spiral over anything and any like specific meaning in this song. I think it's like pretty face value. I do, however, think a lot of people won't understand like the satirical moments in this song, and that's totally okay. I think a lot of people will just think this song is very like millennial core, which like it is, but so just like listen to the whole song, you know? This song might be dissected by Swifties who care a lot, but not necessarily by the public. If that kind of, I personally love to see this in concert, like definitely stripped back, like acoustic. Paris Lover concert vibes. Oh, I forgot to grade this, like technical and artistry. Frick. But I said I don't think that the song is very innovative, but again, I don't think it's supposed to be. I think that this song feels like a Taylor Swift song for sure. Definitely gives off a this feels special vibe because it's a track 5 song and it is more like piano based, kind of brings us back down after like all of this like fun upbeat songs. For that reason, I am going to give it also, I think I'm going to give it like a 2.75. That is our track 5 on The Life of Showgirl. Let's talk about track 6 called Ruin the Friendship. I gave, for musicality and sound, I gave this a 3.75. I think this is a very catchy song. I really do. I like the production of it a lot more than I thought I would the second time around. Like the second time I listened to it, I was like, oh, like, yeah. I think it sounds like it should be on debut, but it's way more mature than debut. I think it also has like an underlying like grooviness to it that I didn't expect and I really, really like. It necessarily fits in with what I thought The Life of a Showgirl would be, but I think it's very sonically different and groovy. So I like it. That's why I gave it a 3.75. It's very fresh to me. For lyrics and writing, I gave it a 3.5. This is obviously not her most like poetic song of all time, but I do think that she has a very strong narrative in these lyrics. These lyrics obviously paint like this picture about what could have been with someone specifically in high school, and I think the picture that it paints also makes you as a listener, you think about your own, you know, life and like the people you went to high school with, and it just makes you like, has a very like nostalgic vibe to it. Theme and depth, I gave it a 2.5. I think the song to her is very personal, probably calling back a lot of moments and events that happened like in her high school life. And you know, when a song mentions Abigail, it's gonna be close, it's gonna be personal, it's gonna be like gut-wrenching a little bit. Even though this song tells like a really good story, I think it's pretty like what you see is what you get. Because of that, I think it's a 2.5. Like I think it's pretty middle of the road. Again, this is why the theme and the depth is a different score than the lyrics, because the lyrics are a whole point above the theme and the depth. For context and culture, again, I feel like this is debut Taylor writing in the Midnights era. I think that the plot twist at the end, spoiler alert, could potentially be made into like a trend or something, potentially on TikTok or something. I don't think Swifties will really spiral. I don't think it's going to stir up a lot of anything. So therefore I give it a 2. For technicality and artistry, I give it a 2.5. I think that the pacing of this song is good. I think the structure is good. I think it's actually very like Taylor in the lyrics, but I think sonically it does more production wise. Like I think it's a little more like layered and there's a little more depth to it production wise. It's personally at the bottom of my list, but I still like it. Still feels like very like nostalgic Taylor track. Let's talk about, it's called Actually Romantic. I really like this track. Musicality and sound, I give it a 2.5. I think this is layered and mixed really well production wise. I honestly think that the melody was a little forgettable compared to other songs on the album, but I think it's like a fun boom clap, pun intended, or I guess pun not intended. Like, I think it's pretty catchy, but I think it was forgettable. Like, when I listened to it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what this sounds like. But if you were like, what does actually romantic sound like? It takes me a little bit to like actually think about it. For lyrics and writing, I gave it a 2.3. I think lyrically, this song is so funny and relatable. I don't know. I think it tells the universal story of like you being a major character or villain in someone's life and literally not knowing at all, and then finding out that someone hates you and then you're just like unbothered by it. I don't think it's like beautifully poetic or anything like that, but I do think it's funny. And the concept of writing essentially a love letter to a person that'll probably hear it is iconic. It's no like my tears ricochet or anything. I feel like there's a lot of like catchy lines. Some of my favorite include, you think I'm tacky baby, boring Barbie, in quotes, why are you always talking about her, I mind my business, God's my witness. Like, I think these are very fun, catchy lyrics. Theme and depth, I gave a 3.5. Maybe I should have swapped those scores, but this song's theme is more universal, in my opinion, for the unbothered people in the world. I think that this theme and concept is very like tongue-in-cheek, and to me, you honestly have to have like a very matured sense of self to relate to this song. Like, to me, I loved like the theme and the underlying, you know, depth of the song, because you're taking something in someone that was meant for gossip and harm and you are twisting it to be like witty and silly and unbothered. I think this is deeper than we think it actually is, and for that reason I scored it probably maybe higher than I should have, but I like it. For context and culture, I gave this a 4. I gave this a 4, and here is why. I think this is a perfect song for this era, being for what it is. The words feel very Reputation, and some people are even saying that this is like a new grown-up mean from Speak Now. A lot of people are speculating this song is about Charlie XCX. I think it is. So I think the whole like who is it about factor is very, very high. I think she mentions other people in the song, which also puts it like culturally very like on the nose, what people want to research and look into and all that kind of stuff. I definitely think someone from Dumois will dissect this song. Like, I just think it's culturally very relevant. I didn't score this one technically and artistry too. Dang it. For technical and artistic, this category, I said that there are a couple elements in here that feel like very new to me as a Taylor Swift listener. I think it feels pretty cohesive with the rest of the album, and it feels like Taylor, not musically, but it feels like her lyrically, like very bitey, very strong. But it's a little forgettable as far as musical goes. And for that reason, I give it a 2.5. Wish List, it's our next one. I enjoyed this song a lot. For musicality and sound, I gave it a 3. Even though this one is more at the bottom of like my personal list, I think it's musically really great. I'm pretty sure it samples Glitch and the song Daylight, or maybe like another song, but definitely Glitch. I definitely hear a glitch in it. And respectfully, I think the song is really forgettable, like music wise. Like, if someone were to ask me, hey, what does a wish list sound like? I think the lyrics stand out more than the actual sound of it. Sorry. I think the sweetness like embodies this new genre. Don't think it's the most new and original thing in the world, but I do think that her sampling her own music is kind of iconic. So do with that what you will. So therefore I gave it a 3. It would have been lower if she hadn't have sampled her own song. So love that. For lyrics and writing, I gave it a 2.25. Even though the song is very like sweet, I don't think lyrically it's very strong. I just think like as a whole, it's kind of forgettable as a song. I don't think it's witty compared to other songs on this album. I really like the bridge, and in the line specifically about her praying to God for someone who's her best friend and someone who she thinks is hot. Like, I think that that's funny, but it's really like the only super relatable thing. I think her talking about what everyone wants compared to what she wants is relatable, and there are a lot of quotable lines. Some quotable lines, respectfully. For theme and depth, I also gave it a 2.5. I think the theme is, again, very sweet. It's pretty surface level though in its complexity. However, I do think that people will relate to this. Really, at the end of the day, what people want is love and connection. I think the longevity of this song holds up. Even though I don't think it's the catchiest melody on the track, I think it will hold up like as time progresses. Context and culture, I gave it a 2.5. This song has a lot of references to brands and culture in that sense. I think it sounds like a Reputation vault track where it's like has like a booming bass, kind of like you get the like I don't know vibe, but it has a very like sweet core to it, if that makes sense. So I think it's very sweet and reminiscent of Reputation, but I don't think there's a lot of lyrics or plot to dissect. I do think that this would be really fun to see in concert with like Glitch as an acoustic set, like mashed up. I think it'd be really cool, but other than that, I'm like, meh, whatever. And for that reason, I gave it the extra 0.25 because it was going to be a 2.25, but for that reason alone. Oh, I think a lot of people will use it on social media too for their significant others. Like I think it has longevity in that way as well. And for that reason alone, literally that reason alone, I gave it an extra 0.25 because it was going to be a 2.25. But for that reason, gave it an extra 2.25. For technicality and artistry, I gave it a 3. I don't think I would add it to a lot of my personal playlists, but I do think that I wouldn't skip it if it came on like naturally. I think this is like very classic Taylor, taking a word or a phrase and like turning it on its head. And I really like the fact that she samples her own song. Like I think that's truly what makes this. And she may not sample it, but to me, it sounds exactly like that. So if she didn't, she definitely meant to. She definitely wanted to. That is what I think about Wishlist. Okay, we have 4 more songs left. So let's talk about Wood, okay? This is such a fun song. Let's talk. Musicality and sound. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, call me crazy, whatever. This song is one of my favorites, if not my favorite. It is so catchy. I immediately wanted to hit replay. I think it's her most original on the album. I actually have a theory that I think her next album will be more in this genre, like Jackson 5, Bruno Mars, groovy funk type vibe. I think it embodies the genre it's leaning into, and I wish more songs on the album were like this. Like, I definitely think this sound is so fresh for her, and I was gonna give it like a 4.25 and like whatever, but I was like, this is literally what I want from her in a new album. Like, I want a new sound, I want a new groove, I want a new take, I want a new vibe, and this is, I don't think it matches perfectly with The Life of a Showgirl, but I love the sound, and I think it's so new and so fresh for her. As far as lyrics and writing go, I gave this a 2.75 in the beginning. I personally enjoy listening to the non-explicit version, so my listening experience is probably different than yours, but I highly recommend it because I think it just adds a little something. And here is like what I wrote about all of the lyrics, you know. I said, no, I don't want a song necessarily about what this song is about, if you know what I mean, but I do think it's very clever on how she's like woven the song about being about like superstition on the surface, and then being about something different underneath. Pun intended. Pun unintended. I don't think these words are the most lyrical or like beautifully written at all. But I do think that it's a really fun like concept, and she has taken it and made kind of like made something fresh. Like, I don't think I've personally heard an artist do that. I think the last time I heard about like superstitions being written about was Superstitions by Stevie Wonder, or Superstition. So I think it's like just like a fun take. I love her mentioning the new Heights podcast that Travis Kelce hosts with his brother, And like, this song is obviously about Travis, even though she says it's mostly about superstition. We know that she's lying, and the lyrics are iconic, but maybe not the most relatable, and that is okay. Because of that, I gave it a 2.75. I enjoyed it. I think it was fun. For theme and depth, I just gave it a 2.5, probably a 2.25 if I'm being honest. I need to change that. No, we're gonna keep it at a 2.5, and here's why. I don't think that the theme is deep, but I do think that her layered lyrics make it that way. I think if you really want to stretch it to not be about what it clearly is written about, I think that you could make the argument it's about your own luck, if that kind of makes sense, because it has that layered, you know, superstitious vibe to it. Like similar to the theme of Opalite, like you make your own luck. I thought I was unlucky, but now I'm not type vibe. And for that reason, obviously it's about what it's about, but for context and culture, I gave it a 3. I think this song does not really sound like any past era, and I think it takes new ground that I personally think Taylor needs to explore in her new upcoming future projects, whenever that is. I think the song is very memeable. Not memorable, or it is memorable, but also memeable. But I don't think that we really need to question who it's about or what it's about. So for that reason, it's not as high in the scoring as it maybe could be. I think this would be very fun to see in concert. I would love to see it. And then for technically and artistry, you're gonna be like, what? I give it a 4. Okay, I gave it a 4. I think this song is so fun. I think the structure of it is great. I think it has a really strong melody, and it's super memorable. I think not just for me, who's a Swiftie, but other people who don't really listen to her or even like her. I had a friend tell me that that was his favorite song, like by far on the album. And so I just think it's has a really high like replay factor. I don't think it sounds like anything past Taylor at all, which I think makes it really intriguing for anyone to listen. I think it has Sabrina Carpenter lyrics with like a Jackson 5 melody, and I think people are annoyed at the fact that it is about that they know that it's about Travis Kelce. But I think that if Sabrina Carpenter wrote the song, that people, like if Sabrina Carpenter wrote this song, sang it in the exact same way with the exact same lyrics, I literally think people would go feral for it. Like I think that they would go insane and love it so much. And they would think it was so like ha 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 funny. So no, I don't think it's the most like lyrically challenging Taylor Swift has ever been and gotten, but I do think that it is artistically different, and for that reason I think it's really great for her to step outside that comfort zone, if you will. And I really hope that us as an audience can like reward her behavior and branching out so that she will explore that sound and genre in the future. That's all I have to say about that, but I gave it a 4 because I loved it so much. Top 1. Let's talk about Canceled. I think this song, let's talk musicality and sound. I think this song is really powerful production wise. I think it's super powerful. I think it's really layered, polished, and really sharp. Even though I do think all of those things, I also don't think it has the most memorable melody. Sorry. But I do think it sounds original. And for that reason, I gave it a 4 in this category. In the next category, lyrics and writing, I gave it a 3.3. Yes, weird and specific, but whatever. I think these lyrics are witty and punchy, and I think it tells exactly the story that she wants it to. I don't think it's the most relatable for like everyday people like you and me, but because of her imagery, I know exactly how she feels, what she's thinking, and the type of person she's referring to. And I don't mean the specific person, even though we all kind of think we know who it's about. I'm talking like in general. So 3.3 for lyrics and writing. For theme and depth, I gave it a 2.5, middle of the road. I don't think this song is as complex thematically, but I do think it's exposing and vulnerable in kind of like a roundabout way. To me, it's very tongue-in-cheek, and I like that. For context and culture though, I'm gonna give it I was gonna give it a 4. I'm gonna give it a 4.5. Like, I think that this sounds like it belongs on Reputation, obviously, but I think that there's a lot of cultural references, obviously, from brands all the way to situations in the media that we can guess who the song is about. But also she references her own past, and so I think that there's so many different layers of like culture that we can grab onto. Compared to her other songs, I do think it is more culturally, like has more context and culture than her other songs. And I think that there will be a lot of speculation as to who it's about. So for that reason, 4.5. For technicality and artistry, I gave this a 2.5. And again, middle of the road. I think this song is more experimental in sound, even though it sounds like something on Reputation. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like it's very new Taylor, and it tells a story while also being punchy and bratty toward the media and cancel culture in general. So I thought in general it was just a good song. So 2.5. Okay, the second to last song is Honey. This is the 11th track on the album, and for musicality and sound, I gave it a 2.2. This song to me sounds like it should be on Midnights, like the vibe of it. I think it's really sweet, but also very catchy. I think it's pretty standard as far as production goes, and I don't think it's super fresh or super different, although it's pretty catchy. For lyrics and writing, I gave it a 2. Sorry. I think this is maybe the lowest scoring one. Who knows? But we'll calculate it later. But I think it's not super lyrically strong. I think it's a relatable song. I just don't think it's lyrically compelling. My favorite like standout lyric is something like graffiti my whole life. Like that vivid imagery. Like I wanted more of that in the song instead of just like literally telling us exactly what happened. Like I wanted her to paint more of a picture than to just like sentence by sentence telling us, and then she said this, and then I cried, and then I did this. Like I wanted it more maybe beautifully written. So I gave it a 2. For theme and depth, I gave it a 3. To me, this theme is very universal. I think that when you meet the right person, they can redefine a lot of the comments and circumstances that once hurt your feelings and made you insecure. Like I love thinking about how the right person can redefine so much in your life. And I just think that theme and the depth of that is very sweet and a lot deeper than just like, oh, I really like them. It's like, no, you're redefining all of these things. Like I think it's just like an added layer of depth to the song. For context and culture, I gave it a 2. I think this sounds like it should be on Midnights. I think it's not a lot of speculation about. I think people will start putting the song to maybe like their spouses, but I don't think it's like the most viral, even though it probably will be as far as like couples go. It could be fun. I just don't think there's going to be like a giant cultural impact because of this song. But I could be wrong, and that's, again, totally fine. For technicality and artistry, I gave it a 2.2. I think the pacing of the song is good, but to me, she doesn't really experiment with sounds. Doesn't really experiment, like nothing crazy. Like it does call back old songs of hers, like maybe a couple times. I just don't know which one it is, and that's okay. And I think overall it's pretty cohesive with the album, so 2.2. Okay, we are on our last song. It is The Life of a Showgirl, and it is featuring our queen, Sabrina Carpenter. Our queen and our princess, you know? Just on a song together. We love to see it. For musicality and sound, I gave it a 3.75. Okay, so I have some thoughts about this, okay? So I think it gets more catchy the more you listen to it, and I think the production is obviously great, especially with Sabrina getting added on. I think the replay ability, is that like a hyphenated word? I don't know. Is also really high. I think that both Sabrina and Taylor are both vocally really wonderful on this. Oh, I don't think like the boom clap like type, you know, music is like the most innovative or anything. I do think that this sounds like Cool by the Jonas Brothers, so I'm interested to see what the heck that's about, honestly. Are they gonna sue her? I don't know. Sounds weird. I don't think it's innovative sound-wise, but I do think for Taylor, it sounds new for her. Hopefully that makes sense. This melody is very universal, but it's something that she doesn't really do a lot. So take with that what you will. That's why I gave it a 3.75, because it sounds new for her. And we're not comparing her against other people. We're just comparing her against her old work and the other songs on this album. And I think the bridge will be the moment. Like, I think it is the moment of the song. Like, I think it's so good. So 3.75. For lyrics and writing, I gave it a 3.5. I think this writing is truly what makes Taylor herself. It's what makes her stand out as an artist, as a songwriter. It's very like classic storytelling with messaging and a catchy hook. Like, it's all of those things in one. I think it paints a beautiful picture and story of the fictional character Kitty, I guess. And some quotable lyrics that I love are "Sequins are forever," and take a skate on the ice inside my veins. So good, honestly. For theme and depth, I gave this a 4. I think this theme is deeper than just a fun story. I really do. I think it's, and per Taylor talking about this song as well, it really is about the music industry, and how the song serves as like a warning to new artists that it's not really what you think it is. It's a pretty like surface level storytelling kind of moment at first, but then it goes a little bit deeper as you kind of look into the meaning of it. I think if you look also into the longevity of Taylor's career, there's like an added layer to it where she comes from experience and like knowing what she's talking about. But I also think her adding Sabrina onto the track and bringing her in really just adds like a new layer to this song and to this track, because I think it really just solidifies the point of the song. Me, it feels very like vulnerable and nostalgic about Taylor's past and getting into the industry, but it also is hopeful because we as the audience can look and see that she's made it as a quote showgirl. She has always wanted to be, that she's worked her whole entire life for. So for theme and depth, a 4. Probably it deserves higher, but whatever. For context and culture, I think it's pretty middle of the road. I gave it a 2.5. It feels to me like it should be on red, which may sound weird, but I think the internet is really gonna love this bridge. Like it's like very upbeat and like da 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 da. So I think they're really gonna like it. But I don't think there's really like any hidden meaning or much to dissect from it, and for that reason, it's pretty middle of the road. I think it's obviously an iconic closer that would be for like a concert or something. I think it'd be amazing for, to close on a tour, but I think Taylor said she's not touring, but it's fun to dream, right? Right. For technicality and artistry, I gave it a 2.85, maybe a 3, I don't know. I think that the pacing is really great for this song. Yeah, let's just give it a 3. I think the pacing is really great for this song. I think the bridge is definitely the strongest part, and I think for Taylor, she experiments with sound in the song, but I don't think like the boom clappy is the craziest new music that I've ever heard in general. But again, for her, I think it's new, and I love that for her. I don't think that this song is what I thought it would be, being the title track and especially featuring Sabrina Carpenter, but I still like it, and I still think it sounds like a Taylor song, and it makes me feel like Taylor, if that makes sense. Like, it paints a picture, it's a story, it's just everything we love about her songwriting. So love all of that. We're gonna put all of these in order, and we're gonna see what the average is for all of this. We're gonna put them in order, and then I'm going to share with you my actual favorites. So again, my favorites do not mimic how I scored. Like, I tried to not let my favorites dictate what the scoring of these songs would be. So give me a moment. Let's go through the ranking of each of these. Now remember, there were 5 different categories. Each of them had their own ranking. So let's start from the bottom. Bottom of the list, number 12, is the track Honey with 2.28. Number 11 is Wish List with 2.65. Number 10 is Opalite, which makes me so sad, with 2.75. Number 9 is Ruin the Friendship with 2.85. Number 8 is Actually Romantic with 2.96. Number 7 is Father Figure with 2.96. So those two are tied, Actually Romantic and Father Figure. Eldest Daughter is number 6, and it is 3.05. And Elizabeth Taylor is above that in spot number 5 with 3.27. Number 4 is The Fate of Ophelia with 3.29. And top 3. Number 3 is The Life of a Showgirl, 3.35. Number 2 is literally sitting a point above number 3, is Canceled with 3.36. And number 1 is not that far ahead at 3.45 is Wood. So, yay. Those are all of the rankings. Again, I tried to not let my personal opinions override. Here are my personal thoughts and my personal rankings. After the very first day, at the end of the day, after seeing the movie and listening to the album, probably maybe 3 or 4 times total, my ranking is, the last one is Ruin the Friendship, and then Wish List, Canceled, Actually Romantic, Elizabeth Taylor, Honey, Father Figure, The Life of a Showgirl, The Fate of Ophelia, Wood, Opalite, and The Eldest Daughter is number 1. That is my list compared to the actual list. I hope you have enjoyed this deep dive on The Life of a Showgirl. Those are all of my personal thoughts, and if you disagree with any, which you definitely will, I would love to hear about in the comments. Thank you for joining us for Vlogtober, and thank you for Taylor for putting us into a new era that we can love and listen to. And yeah, so thank you for coming. See you next time. See you on Tuesday, I think. I think this should drop on Sunday. See you on Tuesday. Okay, bye.